Mr. Pendleton is anticipated to be late. Ms. Van?
Here.
Also, Mr. Wells anticipated to be late. Mr. Young?
Here.
Mr. Bateman? Here. Sorry.
Here. So we can get started with the public hearing preview, but first I did want to I'd like to welcome Mr. Young to the Planning Commission. Would you mind maybe introducing yourself and saying a little bit about your background?
Yeah, my name is Jake Young. I've lived in Norfolk for about 8 years now. I grew up in the Midwest and relocated out here to the wonderful Hampton Roads area. Fell in love with Norfolk and decided to settle down here. I work in Virginia Beach for a manufacturing company. I've always been kind of a person that serves the public, ranging from a volunteer firefighter and EMT back home to Civic League president here within Norfolk. So I'm very appreciative to be here and work with you all.
We're glad you're here as well. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Young is not new to the board then. We stole him from the Wetlands Board. So Seamus is not happy, but we're glad to have Mr. Young on the Planning Commission.
Popular crowd now.
All right, well, let's start with the public hearing preview.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm going to take a second to introduce myself. I started here back in September, but I have not had the pleasure yet to present to you. So I'm Elizabeth Nowak, I'm the Historic Preservation Officer, and I'm going to be previewing the 2 ARB items that are before you today. So the first one is at 201 East Brambleton. This is the renovation of Chrysler Hall. So you all may be familiar with this project, and I hope you're familiar with the building. So this renovation kind of covers some different interior elements, but what we're focused on here with the design review process is going to be the exterior portion. So you will see a couple slides in here of the floor plans, but we're really focusing on the exterior. I will note that this building does qualify as a historic structure, which is why this is not coming forward to you as a development certificate, just as design review. The project is utilizing rehabilitation tax credits. So this project will also be reviewed by Virginia Department of Historic Resources and National Park Service for that component, and that the project meets the Secretary of the Interior standards. So this is the existing site plan. You can see the scope, arena there, and Chrysler down in the bottom right corner. The 2 areas that are really going to be affected, aside from the building, are going to be the rear and a portion of the sidewalk on East Charlotte Street against the southern side of the building. Here's a closer view of all of that. Site context photos. So what is proposed here is a reconstruction, essentially, of the loading dock area. That's going to be the biggest alteration to this site. What is there now is a single loading dock, and it really cannot meet the capacity needs of modern productions. So what is being proposed is a new loading dock area that can accommodate 4 truck and trailers with a canopy, a redone performer's entrance right now that's sunken and is a little dark and a little catches water and a little unsafe. What's being proposed is an above grade structure that will cover a stairwell that will go down into the building and then up. So it will be lit, and there will be a low wall that separates that loading area from the performer's entrance to give that sense of security there. And you can see the improvements along East Charlotte Street. What's being envisioned there is what we're calling a stairus. So it combines a terrace element with stairs, an ADA accessible ramp, which currently does not serve the plaza area, to create an inviting public space. So it will provide very nice access from Charlotte Street while improving accessibility overall. So here's a detail of those terraces. So you can see that there's going to be concentrated actual stairs, and then the spaces in between are going to be larger step blocks. So imagine somewhere that you could sit and talk with somebody. That's what's being envisioned. This is the demolition plan for that loading dock area. There are existing planters back there that will be removed. Other landscaping will be brought back to that area. But what this is going to do is really improve the congestion that the trailers currently bring to that intersection when they try to come in and load. Here's a section view. So to cover that loading dock area, a structural steel and glass canopy is being proposed. It has a very compatible design. It's very low profile. When you see it next to the building, there are renderings later, it really blends in, doesn't detract, and has a complementary material palette. So like I said before, these are interior plans just for conversation purposes. You can just make it out. That's how slight of a difference it really kind of ends up being in plan detail. The other large element of this project is a replacement of the current curtain wall system. So that is original to the building, and it is showing some age, and there are some energy efficiency requirements as well as needs in the lobby area. I'm sure as you all know, this is a very popular venue, and that lobby area is quite tight. So with this replacement, there are certain code requirements that need to be met that's necessitating the movement of the curtain wall on the first floor to create space in the lobby, but also to make sure that there's essentially like an airlock so that you don't have HVAC going in and out of the building. The movement of the curtain wall is limited to the north and to the south. And you'll see in the renderings what that's actually going to look like. It is not affecting the primary facade. So the front of the building, that curtain wall is staying exactly as it is. That's a really key part of the historic design of the building. And the applicant has worked very, very hard with DHR to make sure that this is a sympathetic and complementary change to the structure. So what you're seeing here is really just the relocation of those curtain walls to add a few feet on either side of the lobby. And on the primary facade, you can see that there are some little bump outs that are shown there. Because the curtain wall is not being moved on the front of the building, it may mean that glass vestibules will need to be constructed at those entrances to meet that energy requirement. The architect and design team are working to see if they can get a code exemption from that, but that's still to be determined, so they are showing that in their plans right now. There's some interior changes to the performer space and to the flow of the audience area. There will be some just general replacement in kind to the roof and to the mechanical stuff that's up there. It's not visible, but that is part of the project. This is the north elevation. You can see that there are some shadow lines on those upper stories. That's where that curtain wall is staying in place. That loading dock is not being affected by this project. The south facade, we do see that canopy area at the rear in the pulling forward of the curtain wall at the base. The east facade, again, you get that reworked corner there. It will have some visibility from the street intersection, but the fencing that's there now will be replaced, and there will be some landscaping. So the west facade, this is the primary facade, really just looking at the curtain wall on that first floor, staying there, the potential for those vestibules. The proposed material palette is really nice. The design team has actually found the exact granite that was used on the plaza, so that will be used on the stairs to bring a continuation of material and color, all of that stuff to that element. What's being proposed for lighting and for railings are stainless steel with light elements to them. The loading dock and performers entrance are going to have similar but different materials to the building. So there's going to be a terracotta panel, exposed structural steel and glass for that canopy, brick pavers, and a very plain black metal fence. The curtain wall, there's not a whole lot to a curtain wall system, but the one that's being proposed was very thoughtfully chosen. It doesn't require any structural changes on the interior of the building. They're able to match all of the dimensions and profiles. The color is being proposed as gold, which is a change from the bronze that is there. ARB did have some concerns about that, and I'll talk about that in a second with how this project was reviewed by DHR. And there were some comments that were made at the meeting on Monday about bird-safe glass on this building. There's concern from the Audubon Society about the number of bird strikes here and at Scope Arena. And so the design team has looked into a bird frit option. They have identified a etched glass that they might be able to use. They have included it in their materials packet. It is currently under advisement. They're trying to explore a little bit more. That has not yet been shown to DHR, so that may still be something that DHR would not find to meet the requirements for their tax credits. It does have a visual change to the glass, and that would be their primary concern for that. We get into some renderings here. So from East Charlotte Street, looking back at the hall, you do see that there will be a drop-off lane that's proposed with this project. Another nice view here. You can see in this angle that there is a difference in the visual of the storefront on the first floor versus the upper floors, but it is not a huge change visually. This shows the vestibule that would potentially need to be installed on the primary entrance. This is what it would be without. So it is subtle in this view, and in a flat plan view, it's very hard to tell, but it would be a much different experience walking through the plaza and walking up to the building.
So sorry to interrupt you. So my name's Anthea, I'm one of the architects in Thea, and we actually just found out yesterday that the code official is going to grant us reprieve from the vestibule requirement. We initially put those in there because of energy code. But at first we asked him if we could have some leeway, and he said no, but then we found something in the code that said that if it's not a life safety requirement, that it is up to the code officials. And then he once he saw that, then he granted us the reprieve from it. So we will be going with this slide here.
Okay, so this view, no vestibules. This is what you would see from looking towards the north elevation. This is an attempt at rendering the bird-safe glass. It's very hard to render, so between these two views, that's for DHR to kind of meet out. And this is a view of the stairs and looking at that south elevation. This gives you a better idea of what that difference in the curtain wall system would be. The loading dock area and performer's entrance on the right. And at the meeting on Monday, the ARB did vote unanimously to recommend approval to you all with the condition that any solutions or changes that are meted out with DHR, as this is an iterative process, come back to ARB for review and approval. I'm here if you have any questions about this, and Anthea is here as well.
Any questions?
Clarification, so will the entire outside facade get renewed? I thought we were very focused on.
So the primary focus of the exterior building envelope is on that replacement of the curtain wall system. Yes. So our understanding is that there will be some cleaning of the masonry that's out there, but that won't be replaced or anything like that. It'll just be cleaned, and then that glass is being replaced.
And that was kind of what I was looking at,
Yes.
it needs a tune-up greatly. The second one was the bird glass requirements. I understand that may conflict with the historical preservation requirements. Will we get to weigh in on that if that circles back around through ARB as well?
So
Will that come
if
back
it
to
is,
us?
yes, so if the bird safe glass is something that ends up getting proposed as part of the design scope that moves forward, because this is iterative, any changes or any of those details do need to be vetted by DHR and NPS. And so with the recommendation from ARB, it would have that condition that it would come back for ARB review and approval. That was the recommendation that they made on Monday. This body can of course modify that if they would also like to see it.
I was curious, how many bird strikes happened at Russell?
It is a good question that I don't have a hard number to, because we heard one thing from the numbers that were reported to the design team from the operator, and then we had some anecdotal evidence from the representative from the Audubon Society that varied quite a bit. So I do not know the exact number. I do know that there are bird strikes. It is of concern. It is a noticeable amount.
Chair, if I can, just as a reminder, the commission, although it is a design feature, anything to mitigate any of the bird strikes is not a requirement of code. So just for perspective. So.
Any other questions?
Didn't I've got don't want to call it the bird lady, but she mentioned that there was some zoning required, code requirements from the federal or state law regarding reducing bird strikes.
There's some guidance, there's also some guidance from AIA, I believe. The professional organizations have weighed in on some of this, but there's nothing that is required.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
The next item is 200 Park Avenue, the Norfolk Casino. I'm just going to give you the rundown of what happened at the meeting on Monday, and then I'll turn it over to the representatives for the project. So at its meeting on Monday, the ARB did vote to recommend the items that you will see before you. As you recall, you have already voted on or approved a development certificate for this item. It did include a condition that a number of specific elements come back to ARB and this body for approval. What is being shown today is a few of those items. There will be more details forthcoming as the project development continues. I want to get my list so I don't misquote. So today, what was being shown and what was shown on Monday were the information about the EFIS panels. So there had been questions about the dimensionality and the joint profiles for that. The details of the C-slab edge, which if you look in this rendering, those white bands between each level of glass, there had been some questions about how that was actually going to be constructed and how that would work with building lighting. Exterior building lighting was part of what you'll talk about today. More specifics about the materials that are being proposed for the overall project. And then there was also discussion about bird-safe glass. So you will hear a little bit more about that today. The board on Monday did unanimously vote to recommend approval with a few conditions. Those included, where did it go? The project would come back with more details about the exterior lighting. There are color changes that are proposed, and the board had requested to see a sample of what that would look like, an additional rendering of what the building and site would look lit from the south side of the property. The renderings that were shown were mostly from the north and the east side, or the west side. The additional materials that needed to come back, and there was another element about the exterior lighting, which I cannot recall. Yes.
At night as well, from the south side. So everything's been shown that you like want to see it at night from the south side, because that's the main community that's going to be impacted.
And Madam Chair, if I could. Yeah. Elizabeth,
Yes.
one of the items, he's not here to defend himself, one of the items that Mr. Wells brought up last time about the exterior lighting was specific to probably the parking lighting for the top floor of the deck and how that might look, so was that part of the review?
So part of the building exterior lighting did include building light elements along the outside edge of the garage, which you'll see in their renderings here. As far as the top level with that lighting, that was not part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Gore. I'm the project manager for the Norfolk Casino and a principal at HKS Architects. I'm probably a new face to you. Previously, I've been at all the ARB meetings, and we had sent someone else to present at city planning, but we kind of switched this time, so they did ARB, and I'm here to present for city planning. As Elizabeth had said, we did have a good meeting with the ARB team earlier this week. We came back to talk about the 5 outstanding items that Elizabeth listed, and there was one that's not listed, but we can speak to it as necessary, and that's the Elizabeth River Trail. But I'll go through the presentation. We'll talk a little bit about what ARB said in response to some of the information that I'll show you, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. I've also have with me our lead civil engineer, Ken Rodman from VHB, who most of you probably know, so if there's any questions about where he is in his process, he'll be happy to answer those as well. So you can see in our table of contents the things that we're going to speak to today. We'll talk first about our material selections. When we did present in front of ARB, we had all the materials on that will show on the screen. We had actual samples. So the ARB board could hold everything, feel everything, really start to understand what everything was gonna look like. So we'll go through all of our materials. We'll talk about the bird strike mitigation that we are planning for the exterior of the building, similar to the project that went prior to us. We'll talk about the building exterior lighting. We'll move on to this tower slab edge cover detail, which also does have a little bit to do with exterior lighting as well. And then we'll end with some EFIS details. So first up is our materials. If you'll remember from our previous presentations, we are looking to do an interesting effect with the glazing on the exterior of the tower. We are looking for this subtle shift in the color of the glass as you move kind of east-west across the building. You can see the 3 different glass types on the left, GLO 1, 2, and 3 are the color shifts. I will admit it's a little hard for it to come across on a screen. We had a really neat, our glass rep Viracon, they made large panels of glass and they have a truck that they drove to our office with these large format glass panels so we could see the color shift actually in daylight as it would be represented as opposed to looking at a piece of glass inside kind of at my desk. So we really feel like this neat kind of subtle shift across the facade will help to break the facade up a little bit and is also kind of playing to some of the lighting details that we're looking to emphasize later on in the presentation. And then the GLO 4 that you see there on the right is a representation of what our fritted bird glass will look like. And similar to the previous project, we are looking at the dots that they apply in a laminate to the glazing. And that would be on the lower podium section of the building where we are trying to mitigate those bird strikes and what we are referring to as the high impact zone. As we continue forward, you see an example of our metal panel. This is the color of the panel. It's a silver metallic. This is what we'll be using on those slab edge colors, those horizontal stripes in between the floors and on the hotel tower, and then also at the top of the building on that crown element. This is another metal panel that we're using. We're utilizing this darker color of basalt gray color at the porte-cochere. We did want kind of this deeper, darker color at the porte-cochere because you can see in the image we're also using a kind of a wood look metal panel underneath, and we thought that this darker color really helped to set off the warmth of that wood soffit. And you'll also see a nighttime view of this that we really feel like these kind of the juxtaposition between the wood and this darker metal really is a nice feature there at the front door. This is the wood look soffit, and again, this is not a true wood, which we would not want to put on a building in this environment. It just would not withstand the test of time and the elements here. This is a metal panel that is stamped with a wood grain look. We've used this on a lot of our projects over the past 2 decades. It holds up very, very well. It adds that really nice quality of warmth in these areas that we are looking to bring warmth to. And we really feel like this will be a nice element here at the front door. And what's nice about the ceiling detail, this wood look will pull into the lobby some, that you can see the different kind of, the stacking effect. That feature goes into the main lobby, and so this lighting and the wood look will continue into the lobby as well to create some warmth. This is our metal screening that we're doing over the entirety of the parking garage. I believe we spoke about this last time we were here. There is a project very close to our office in Dallas that utilizes this system. And what's really neat about it is it allows us to maintain our openness factor for the garage, which is very good for like not having to mechanically ventilate the garage and getting the airflow that's needed. Obviously, a garage has a lot of fumes in it. But when you look at it in different directions, it has different levels of what feels like opacity because of the way the metal's cut and bent. So looking at it in the direction that we're standing now, it looks like a fairly solid piece of metal, which provides this really nice kind of facade look on a garage. It's one of the hardest things that we do as architects is how do you get a garage to not always feel like a parking garage? We don't want to see the cars. We want to screen them a little bit. And we really feel like this material will give us that quality that we're looking for. And what's neat is when you turn around and look at it the other way, it does appear more open. So we are orienting it and mounting it in the direction so that when people are arriving to our site, it does have that more solid look to it. So it does give that stronger facade effect. And you'll see as we continue in the presentation how we're planning to light this at night as well to bring a little bit more kind of liveliness to the material. So moving on, I'm sure everyone's aware that we are planning to use EVIS panels on this project. This is a view from the ballpark looking back toward the building. This is, the color of this product that you're seeing here is kind of a darker gray. What we are planning to do on this facade especially, we are planning to use a high impact EVIS here so that if anything were to hit it, a baseball or any sort, that it's not going to damage the EVIS. So that's a nice upgrade to this side of the building. Another look at another color EVIS up at the ballroom level. We are using a little bit of a lighter EVIS to give a little bit of a color shift. As you start to see the building in 3 dimensions, you're looking at kind of different color tones. They are sister colors, they go well together, but they're not the exact same color to bring a little bit of relief to some of these solid colors. And then speaking toward the roof system, you can see, I'm hoping you can see it in the image. It might look a little clearer here, but we are looking at a 2-tone TPO roof system here as opposed to just doing a solid white sheet. We are looking to add these rectilinear pieces of a slightly darker material to bring a little bit of relief to the roof. It also helps that when you're in a hotel and looking down at these kind of larger fields of roofing, it does subtly take away some of the dirt that you usually see kind of sitting up on roofs. So that subtle color shift we found in other projects really does help a little bit to give the appearance of the roof having a little bit of a cleaner look. This is the windscreen guardrail system that we're planning to use all around the pool deck up on level 4 of our building. So this is a 6-foot-tall screening element. As I'm sure everyone's aware, it does get windy in Norfolk, especially on the river. So there will be a 6-foot-tall glass rail system. I don't believe we're using black. I think it is a lighter color than this. But this is what this will look like. So it'll provide a lot of wind protection in addition to providing the required fall protection that is necessary when you're up above grade like this. It'll still allow us to obviously maintain the views out towards the water, the views towards the ballpark. So it is a clear glass all the way around, but it is just a little bit higher than a traditional 42-inch guardrail system. So from there, we'll segue into speaking to the bird strike mitigation that we're planning to use on the building. As I spoke at the beginning of the presentation, we've had several conversations with the ladies from the Audubon Society relative to what their preference would be for bird strike. We've done a lot of research with our glass representative that is providing the glass for this project, which is Viricon. Our interpretation of the American Bird Conservancy is that the majority of bird strikes happen within the first 40 feet of a project from grade where we bring grade up to. If you're familiar with our project, we are bringing grade up to about 1 level above existing grade. So we're counting 40 feet above where we are bringing grade up to. And you can see in both of these images on the right, we are providing a frit, we're using a circular frit at a 2-inch pattern, and this is something that the birds can see. It is visible to the human eye as well. What's nice is that the birds can't really distinguish between the different colors, whether it's white, black, gray, they can see all the colors. So we are currently looking at a gray dot because we think it'll be a little bit less visible for humans to see based on our glass color that we're choosing. The other interesting thing about what our research has shown us is that to be in compliance with within the 40 feet, it's 90% of your building 90% of the facade within the first 40 feet needs to be in compliance with the building. So as we go through these elevations, you'll see where our 40-foot line is. It gets us right up to the top of that windscreen that I just showed up on our pool deck, that 6-foot-tall windscreen. So we will be fritting the windscreen so that when the birds are coming over the top of the water, that they're seeing the windscreen. They're not hopefully going to hit the windscreen since it has the frit on it. And you can obviously see below the windscreen as well with that additional red dash line that we're planning to frit that as well. And this is the south facade of the building. So this is the facade that faces the Elizabeth River directly. And we'll go around the building a little bit. So this is the west facade. You can see that we're continuing that frit along the west as it wraps around that corner and starts to face the ballpark. We do have some kind of smaller punched windows here on the right that are leading into some office spaces, some employee dining areas. So again, everything below this 40-foot line will be fritted. There is one exception that we're looking to, and it falls within that 10% outside of the 90%. We are not currently planning to frit the glazing at the porte cochere, and there's several reasons why we think that this is still within the requirements from the ABC. So again, we are over 90% on our fret, and also the overhang for the porte cochere creates deep shadow lines on the glazing in there. The reason that the birds strike onto the glass is they're seeing the reflection in the glass back to the clouds and the sky they think they can fly through. It also makes it doubly problematic if they can see light beyond the glass. So they're looking at they're out here, they're looking through the window and they see light beyond. So they just don't see the glass and they fly into it. But that's not possible at our porte cochere, because when you're in the porte cochere, I mean, the gaming floor is a football field long. There's just no natural daylight that they're seeing through the glass, in addition to our deep overhang. So we are not currently planning to fret the porte cochere for those reasons. All right, on to building exterior lighting. It looks so different up on the screen than it looks on my screen right here. So there's several different, I'm gonna go wave my hands in front of the TV. There's several different places that we're looking to emphasize when we're starting to look at our lighting. We'll start up here at the hotel tower. We'll look at this in a detail in just a few slides in advance, but currently on these slab edge covers, we have a light that tracks all the way along the bottom edge on each level, all the way across. And what's neat about these lights is they're programmable. They're RGB, so it's the field of all the colors that we're all very familiar with. And we are looking for this light to, I'm going to use the word subtly dance a little bit. The light can move, it can track. I'm not talking about like a ticker tape at a sports arena. That's not what this is. This is very subtle light movement in a linear fashion across these lines right here. And what's neat about this when I say that it's programmable, it's the holidays and we have red and green, or we have blue and white. We've got an event at the baseball stadium. We can use the team's colors on the hotel. So there's a lot of different things that can make this a really neat kind of iconic moment for the city of Norfolk, but in a very subtle way. We're not looking for this to be Vegas. This is not a Bellagio light show fountain extravaganza. Again, this is very subtle color shift across these horizontal lines. You'll also notice that we're highlighting what we're calling the crown of our building. This too has the opportunity to be programmable and color changing. So right now we're showing it as white, but if ownership and the programming team wanted the tower itself to be white, then just the crown could shift colors. So it really has an infinite amount of opportunity for what this could be in a somewhat thematic and kind of fun way to highlight the building on this iconic moment on the water here. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a future slide, but I did want to, before I move on, I want to point out the garage. We spoke previously about that Amico screen that I was talking about, the kind of bent metal. We are looking to light the bottom portion of the screen here. We have in-ground lights here that are going to wash that screen and catch the folds in the metal. So you will be able to wash this whole wall with, again, a color changing light is needed. What ownership wants is just the option. We're not saying this is going to be a rainbow of colors at all times. That's not the intent here. But the RGB will give them a true white, but it would also give them the opportunity for color if they see fit. You can also see, and we'll see this in another image too, obviously a lot of light here at the porte cochere. And this is a very inviting moment. We want people to feel drawn up into the building, so there'll be a lot of light happening here at the lip of the porte cochere and then underneath, which I'll show you in an image in just a minute. So here's the porte cochere that we were just speaking to. And again, there's light coming in from the lobby, there's light coming in from the gaming floor. We have these really great strips of light here on the edge of these kind of drop downs as they kind of fold and wrap and kind of warp around the building. And then also looking for these kind of really subtle, just like pinpoints of light to kind of highlight the soffit and bring a really nice glow of light onto the floor of the porte cochere. I think this is going to be a really great kind of drive-up experience for the users of the property. This image is highlighting again, this is the actual light fixture for that colored light on the Amico screen on the parking garage. And again, these are going to be in ground, washing up the wall. You see we're not washing the top. We don't really have a way to get the light all the way to the top of the garage since we are washing from the ground. But we thought it was a nice moment to be able to wash that lower portion of the garage. And then this is talking in a little bit more detail about some of those lighting moves on the tower itself. So this will be the light at the crown. It's gonna nestle, there's a plane break between the glass here and the metal panel. There's about 18 inches of horizontal space. So this fixture will be mounted on the ground here and wash up the crown. And then this is our LED chaser light that's nestled in this kind of C-section on the edge of the slab right here. And again, this is the RGB color changing. And then at our kind of, we call them eyebrows in the office, but like our eyebrow kind of canopy moments, these are not color changing. We just want a nice, clean, kind of rope LED light just to kind of highlight some of these edges and highlight where our glass is to really bring an interest to some of these key points. This is the intersection of the Elizabeth River Trail and the building. So we're looking to highlight this kind of an iconic pop off the ERT. And then this is that section through that tower slab edge where that light's gonna be nestled. So here's the floor slab. So you're looking basically at a section right through here. Here's the floor slab. We're doing a mullion extension to make this C shape on both the top mullion and then a bottom mullion with a metal panel back pan. And then we're gonna we're gonna mount this fixture, on the bottom part of the C. So what it's doing is it's washing up and it's highlighting this panel right here, this metal panel here. So when you're seeing this lit up, that's that piece of metal panel that's gonna catch that light. All right, on to our EFS details. In several presentations prior to this, the Elizabeth River Trail, they wanted more literal detail about what our EFS panelization was gonna be. So this is in direct response to that comment. So what you're looking at on the top left is an aesthetic joint in our EFS, and what you're looking at on the bottom left is a deflection joint in the EFS. We're required to have the deflection joint in every floor slab, and the aesthetic joint is just where we wanted to break the panels up a little bit further. One of the questions that did come out of ARB is, if you'll notice on our top left, we're showing a 1-inch joint here at the aesthetic joint, and we were showing a 3/4 inch joint here at the deflection joint. And the question was, why aren't those the same? And the response is, they can be the same, we'll make them the same. So now they'll just both be 1 inch, so we'll match the joints. So when you're looking at this jointing pattern, all the joints will be the same, it'll be the same shadow line, it'll look very consistent across the facade of the building. I'm not sure why all the dimensions got a little wonky. I apologize for some of our text. But you can start to see the breakdown of some of the panels. We've got our floor to floor here. This is about 11 feet. So we are starting to break down these larger panels into smaller pieces. You're gonna have this pattern across the facade, which I'll show you on the next slide. You can see the larger elevation. So on the bottom, you're looking at the west facade, and at the top, you're looking at the east facade, where we do have these larger fields of the EFS, and you can start to see how we are planning to panelize the system. And we're nestling in louvers where we have louvers, so that everything looks very kind of controlled and organized across some of these fields. The only outstanding question that we don't have a slide for, but one of the questions that had came up when we were here, was it in the fall, Ken, that we were here last? It came up in ARB, the question about the Elizabeth River Trail and had we coordinated with the Elizabeth River Trail yet? And in speaking with Bobby DeHaan, I know Ken reached out to Bobby, and the response back from Bobby was that this is in the city's purview. The Elizabeth River Trail is on the city's property, the city is responsible for the flood wall, so all of that is being handled through the city, and that there's no scope on our part in needing to coordinate with the Elizabeth River Trail. We are here to be a good neighbor, but all the coordination will go through the city.
And maybe I missed it. Did you show us what the lighting would look like for the community across the river?
We still waiting. That was the
That's the one that needs to be forthcoming. That's what came out of ARB that they'd like to see
Oh, okay.
in the next batch or the next time we meet together, is that we need to do that rendering from across the water.
Okay. I live in that.
Oh, that's you, perfect. Yeah.
So I'm very, very interested.
So I think, let me go back. I mean, I think you get a pretty good taste of it from this. I know it's not, you're obviously on the Elizabeth River Trail here, but we'll need to move the camera kind of back out this way on the river. But I mean, this is essentially what you're looking at. You'll see the Elizabeth River Trail. They have these, it seems like they have light poles. you'll see kind of this glowing corner and then that kind of subtle dancing of light kind of coming across the tower with our crown lit up at the top. We'll produce that rendering so that you guys can see it.
I'd like to see that, and I'd like to know, as much as you can sort of interpret what that lighting might mean to someone that lives on Bellamy facing the Elizabeth River.
Okay.
I can tell you that when the tides win, there's a fireworks show, and I enjoy it. I can see it from my porch, but I can imagine all day, every night, all night,
Yeah.
light would be problematic for the folks that live closer to the river.
Understood.
So maybe, I'm not sure exactly how it can be measured, but just to give a comparison, what to expect.
Understood. And I want to emphasize too, and ownership is that this isn't Vegas. Like, this is very soft. There's not flashing like light in your face. It's just very subtle, like ribbons of light. Sometimes it might just be all white and it might be static, but there might be moments where they do want to control it to create more of a festive atmosphere if there's a holiday or a special event. But we can produce that for you so there's more clarity on what that light looks like.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's it for ARB. So, regular agenda?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
My name is Melissa Garcia, City Planner 2. Nice to meet you, Mr. Young. Welcome. In regards to this zoning text amendment here, you have seen it multiple times. I plan on reading it on the 11th floor, so I didn't want to bombard you with the redundancy, but I am here if you have any questions or concerns about it. Please let me know at this time. Unless you would like me to, it's up to you, but based on timing, I just prefer.
No, that's okay, we can, well, unless someone feels strongly about hearing it right now. I think we can hear it on the.
Excellent. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Great, I think Susan.
Okay, good afternoon. So this is an application by Amaze Asian Cafe and Bistro. It is for a conditional use permit. Again, any restaurant that would like to serve alcohol beyond 5 o'clock is required to get a conditional use permit. So this site is located on the northwest corner of Caliente Street and Shore Drive. Is an existing restaurant. They've been a restaurant for nearly a year without alcohol, so they're now coming in because they are requesting to serve alcohol. Doesn't conflict with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. I almost said 2050. It is zone CC, community commercial, and again, if you are serving alcohol beyond 5 o'clock, you need a conditional use permit, and they are only doing on-premise. Very limited hours, from 11 to 9:30, 7 days a week, and they have a total capacity of 67. This is their floor plan. They've got quite a bit of outdoor seating, so as you pull in off of Caliente, there's that outdoor patio there. And then kind of just on the other side of the building, they have a garden, which is kind of nicely hidden from the street. And then you see the rest of the restaurant and the seating. Staff is recommending approval. It aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030. Several restaurants, in addition to this one, have operated from the site, so it has a history of restaurant use. Very limited hours till 9:30. So for those reasons, we are recommending approval. Any questions on this one?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Chick-fil-A, replacing Chick-fil-A. This is on the west side of North Military Highway, north of the Lowry Road intersection. It's currently Chick-fil-A. They're proposing to demolish the existing Chick-fil-A that has a single-lane drive-through and replace it with a Chick-fil-A that has a double-lane drive-through. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property is on CC Community Commercial. In this district, you need a conditional use permit to operate a drive-through facility large scale. And again, they're proposing to demolish the existing building and build a 5,400 square foot restaurant, reconfigure the site to allow for 2 drive-through lanes. So Chick-fil-A's hours of operations for the drive-through would be 5 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. All that landscaping that you see in the front would remain, if not be enhanced, but the building would be rotated on its side here, as you'll see in the site plan. So on the right side is North Military Highway. Then you see the row of landscaping there, and then you'll see how the traffic would go to the bottom and walk all the way around the site. Staff is recommending approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030, complies with all performance standards, and it's the relatively limited hours of operation.
Any questions for Ron?
Good afternoon. This is a conditional use permit for 1126 East Bellevue Avenue. Location northeast side of East Bellevue Avenue between Atlan Street and Warwick Avenue in the Bayview neighborhood. Existing conditions are single family. Proposals to allow a single family home to operate as a short-term rental unit. Proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, designates as single family traditional. Zoning is SF10. All vacation short-term rentals in the SF10 district require a CUP to operate. Here's a picture of the property. The property will be self-managed. The applicant will also be the emergency contact individual. The applicant has experience with long-term rentals and co-hosts a short-term rental out of state. As a condition, we will be requesting foundation screening be planted in the front. And one violation occurred in March of 2024 for listing without a permit. For neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, 72% of residential parcels are single-family and 55% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 5% of residential parcels and 4% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report, and recommended 2-year expiration. And they did receive support from the Bayview Civic League. Any questions?
Business.
The first text amendment that's going to be initiated today is in regard to home occupation regulations. I kind of went over this at the mid-month, and you guys got a presentation on this in December, so I'm going to go over very briefly just what we're looking at. And then down upstairs, we'll probably just do initiation with a couple sentences. We're not going to go over so much what we proposed as possible solutions that was included in the presentation from 2 weeks ago. So staff has been requested to consider whether home occupation should be loosened to allow massage therapy business from the home. And then at that meeting in December, we Planning Commission asked staff to explore if other home occupations can be permitted in addition to massage therapists. So home occupation is an accessory use defined as an occupation conducted in a dwelling unit. It's permitted anywhere that we allow dwelling units. The performance standards include things that minimize the impact of the use. It shall be incidental and subordinate to the dwelling. It shall not occupy more than 25% of the floor area. There's no signs in outdoor storage. The exterior of the building shall maintain a residential character. No deliveries other than USPS, etc. No perceptible noise, odor, smoke, and then the parking requirements may be additional based on what the zoning administrator requires. Again, this is what is currently currently in the zoning ordinance. So there's some other operational standards as well. Employees who do not reside at the dwelling are prohibited unless you get a conditional use permit. On-site consultation with customers or clients is prohibited unless you get a conditional use permit. We don't allow sales to the public, and specifically looking at the personal service businesses and tattoo parlors, therapeutic massage facilities, contractors' offices, vehicle sales, nursing homes, those are all not permitted, and that is explicitly written into the ordinance. So the ones that we started looking at as staff were some of the on-site consultation and customer businesses. Think like a tax employee who wants to do taxes from the home, music teachers, anything like that. And then when we looked at personal service businesses, we looked at 3 in particular: massage therapist, which is the one that was the request, and then we also looked at nail salon and barber or cosmetology, hair salon, that kind of nature. I did have a discussion with the health department since our last meeting. There seemed to be a little bit of confusion because the Department of Health standards and the city code don't restrict it from a home occupation, those uses from home occupation, because the zoning ordinance has always restricted them from home occupation. So they're gonna have a little bit more of a discussion. This one might not be ready to come to you guys in March, depending on how that conversation goes. We're hoping to have it next week. But we are asking you guys to initiate it this month so we can move forward and with working more towards, the actual language of what we would write in the zoning ordinance.
Any questions about home occupations? Okay.
Hello, where are we? There we go. Hello again. This was brought before you 2 times already. One at the retreat in October, and then 2 weeks ago at the mid-month, concerning allowing selective uses to be allowed by right instead of CUP. We did remove convenience store from that list. There was quite a few loose ends and complexities with the definition and the use. We will come back later once we iron those out. With that being said, we are requesting to initiate a text amendment to allow 3 uses to be allowed by right and expand some performance standards for electric vehicle charging stations. First use is tattoo parlor, establishment which is offered, practice the placing of designs, letters, scrolls, figures, symbols upon or under the skin. Brief history, the ban was lifted in 2006 and allowed in 2 current day districts, the IL and the downtown AD. 2016, it was amended again to allow in present day CC and CR by CUP. Current regulations, currently allowed in the CC and CR districts, all downtown districts except DSP, light industrial, and the 21st Street and Colley Avenue PCOs. And they are required to comply with Chapter 43 of City Code and state regulations as well. Here's a map of tattoo parlors in the city of Norfolk. Staff recommendation, we want to allow tattoo parlor by right in all districts where it's currently allowed by CUP, community commercial, regional commercial, all downtown districts, light industrial, and the 21st Street and Colley Avenue PCOs. I did reach out to the Riverview Business Association, and they do support this as well, so Riverview PCO will be added as well. Each one I'll stop for comments. Any comments on tattoo parlors?
Requests for this, is that what kind of drove?
I could, no,
No,
I had
we
it.
have requests for.
Not for tattoo parlors.
No, okay, that's fine.
Alright. Electric vehicle charging station. Definition: an open to the public commercial establishment designed intended to transfer electric energy by conducive or inductive means. Keywords: not consider an electric vehicle charge station if less than 4 and not open for commercial use. So if I have an apartment, I open it for my residents only, that's not considered this use. Current regulations, it's by right in the business and commercial park industrial, and by CUP in community commercial, regional commercial, light industrial, and general industrial. The electric vehicle charging plan was completed in October last year. They do projecting 100,000, 122,000 vehicles in the city of Norfolk by 2045. Right now, we have about 4,000. So the demand will grow. Here's a map of the stations in Norfolk. The green are the public, the blue are the private. Staff recommendation, we kind of want to break it up into principal and accessory use as well. Allow principal use by right in community commercial, regional commercial, light industrial, general industrial, as well as the current day BCI where it's already allowed by right. For performance standards, we want to be located a minimum of 10 feet from side rear property lines and public right of way. We brought that down from 25 to kind of further aligned with standard setbacks. And then generators or other power systems be installed for periods of prolonged power outages. I did reach out to engineers who designed the last 2 CUPs we had for charging stations. I haven't gotten back yet. We might need to tweak that performance standard, but working on that, waiting feedback. And as the accessory use, allows as an accessory use by right in the CC, regional commercial, light industrial, and general industrial. And for performance standards, limit the number of charging stations to 35% of the required parking spaces of the principal use. Again, 10 feet away from the side rear property lines and generators as well. Questions, comments with charging stations?
Yeah, just clarification,
Yeah.
it's on the very first slide, I think you said this is just for residential, not considered for commercial?
So if it's not considered this use, if it's commercial means people can purchase the power. It doesn't mean like commercial zoning. It's not for commercial use if I can't go up and buy power.
Okay, gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think if it doesn't meet that use, it's not regulated.
Correct. Alright, for the last one, artisanal production. This is the on-site sale of hand fabricated objects, hand manufactured parts, custom craft consumer goods, and light mechanical equipment. Performance standards not to exceed 15,000 square feet. No perceptible odor, smoke outside the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Fenestration requirements, and then requires 15% of the gross floor to be on-site sales or service. Examples, apparel, manufacturing, woodworking. I did get a call for somebody who wanted to have a greenhouse for artisanal mushrooms inside. That would fall on this use as well. Current regulations allowed by right in all downtown districts except by downtown St. Paul. Obviously, no CUP is required, but we're going to expand the by right use to be in community commercial, regional commercial, and 21st Street and College Avenue PCOs. And the Getting Business Association is on board with this. Any questions on this one? All right.
Good to see most of you again and some of you for the first time. My name is Austin Peters. I'm the zoning review team lead under Jeremy Sharp, the zoning administrator. This is, I believe, either the third or fourth time I've brought ADUs to you. So in the interest of keeping it a little bit short down here, because I'll give the full presentation upstairs, if it's all right with y'all, I will go through these amendments briefly here and then go more in depth upstairs unless anybody has any objections to that. I can go through any of these or all of these in further detail.
Just a reminder to the commission, this is just for the
Yes.
initiation, so there could, if there are any additional comments, there's still a lot of work that could be done if you have any additional comments to this. This isn't the finalized proposal.
Absolutely. This is what we had in mind. We can work on these further, change details as we go, but this is just the initiation. So just to get this rolling towards next month in the future. So the first major change would be to alter the CUP requirements, both in the base zoning district and a couple of the triggers that would allow you to go beyond what is permitted as by right in a lot of cases. The second would be to increase the maximum allowed size. Third would be to alter the performance standard stating that an ADU shall only be located on a lot that complies with the minimum lot area dimension or minimum area, dimensional, and lot coverage standards of the base zoning district, but that could be tweaked with the CUP a little bit further. Remove the prohibition against an ADU having separate utilities, if properly permitted. To remove the requirement that the ADU shall use the same driveway as the principal dwelling, and to additionally remove the additional parking requirements. They would still be required to keep the minimum parking requirements for a single-family dwelling. So are there any questions about any of these proposed tweaks initially before we initiate? All right, then I'll see you upstairs. Thank you.
So this is a new one, but it should be fairly straightforward. So an applicant approached the Get Business Association, and they wanted to do a doggy daycare, which we consider retail, and they wanted to do a kennel, so have pets also stay overnight. Little did the GBA know that that is actually not a permitted use in their district. But they said, well, what about the veterinarian? Well, the way a veterinarian office is defined, that allows as an accessory use a kennel. But kennel is not allowed as an accessory use. So they would like to amend both the 21st Street and the Colley Avenue PCOs to allow a kennel as an accessory use. And we do have a letter of support from the GBA on this. Oh, and it would be, by conditional use permit. Because they did acknowledge that we want it, but it may not be the greatest thing in every location in the PCOs. Okay, any questions?
Say they want to do one of those should be.
So I think kennels are allowed by conditional use permit in other areas. It just wasn't allowed in the PCO.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. This item is for the adoption of the 2024 CPC annual report. I presented the full report a few weeks back.
The report summarizes Planning Commission activity from the past year, including the 181 planning and zoning applications, the 20 design review items from the Architectural Review Board. The report also provides an overview of construction and permitting from the previous year, along with a review of the Planning Department's work programs for 2024 and 2025. Once adopted, the report will be sent to made available to City Council and posted on the city's website. Any questions? Perfect.
That is our public hearing preview. Now to director's comments.
Thank you, Ms. Sutter. Again, we apologize for the additional item that came up as a new agenda item, new business item for the 21st Street PCO for the kennel, but we did have an applicant that came forward and GBA was able to make the request quickly enough, so instead of slowing someone down, we wanted to at least put it in front of you so we can keep moving. So I appreciate the commission's flexibility with staff on that one. Council actions from the previous meeting, this past Tuesday, City Council approved the text amendment to the West Freemason Historic Districts to remove the use of vacation rental. Again, just to clarify, homestay is still a permitted short-term rental that's allowed in the West Freemason District. It's just a vacation rental is not permitted now. And then also along with that, they also did approve the rezoning off of Kimsel Road for the contractor's office, which the applicant did follow back up. Thank you, Rob, for reaching back out to the applicant. They followed up with the Lake Taylor Civic League and had support from the Civic League for the changes in the hours. So that was good to have done as well. That's all we have.
I'm sorry, Bobby, did you wanna make sure the planning commission was aware of the tweak that council made to the ordinance?
Sure.
I don't want them to wait to hear from them.
That's fair. Yes. The request was made by council to also figure out a way to address the existing short-term rental in the West Freemason District. Through the action of the prohibition of short-term rentals, they also amended the conditional use permit for that one to allow it to continue to operate after the expiration. So that was also walked onto the agenda by the city council, and they amended the existing conditional use permit to allow that to continue to operate. So, keeps everybody whole through the process, and was able to address that need.
It's wonderful. Flexibility.
It is. Oh, actually, I have one additional item. Chris texted me about it. Mr. Young, we have, we're in the throes of updating our comprehensive plan, and all the planning commissioners participate in a working group. There are 2 working groups that are available, and we are commandeering a lot of the commission's time next week, so it's probably a lot to ask, but there's a planning commission representation I think needed for the connecting the city, which is essentially the transportation section, as well as the embracing nature work group. Not sure if you want to think about it, or I can have Chris talk to you afterwards about what each of those groups entail if you want, and if you're available for any of those dates. One is Monday, so I could understand if you choose not to. But along with that, Ms. Sutter, I'm sorry, next Tuesday, thank you for the commission's flexibility. We will also have the rescheduled meeting for the housing discussion that we were supposed to have when we received the snow bomb last Thursday. So we will hopefully have a good discussion on that, and again, the staff will provide, or the city will provide lunch for the commission as well. So
Next Tuesday?
next Tuesday. 10 to 1.
Do a vote option on that one?
We can if necessary. It will be in our conference room, so we have the owl, we can set up the owl if necessary.
It works, it's not great, so.
As we know, the discussion is much more robust when we're in person, so if you are available, we'd love to have that. But if not, we understand, it's a lot of time to have requests from the commission.
If it's okay, we are, nobody wants to really meet for 3 hours, so we are going to try our best to keep it moving and maybe finish early.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Young, do you have a copy, did anyone give Mr. Young a copy of the housing report?
Or was that in the email?
We will make sure to get, it is in the email, but we can also give a hard copy.
Okay. Okay, comments from commissioners?
So we still have
Yes.
one open? That's to be good.
To be filled hopefully soon. I've not heard of any prospective candidates yet.
And that would be for Ward 2, Jeremy's area, or?
I'm unsure of which one is up, so I'm not sure. So
Any recommendations?
if you haven't,
Starts with that.
it does. If you have, I would recommend if there's anyone that has a colleague or a peer in mind to participate in the planning commission, to have them apply with the city clerk's office through their portal, so that they can go through the process.
Alright, I don't have any comments to share, but just looking at our future meetings, I think Bobby just went through our housing discussion on Tuesday, and then field trip on the 13th, maybe possibly. So I guess keep an eye out on your email to look to see which items that you'd be interested in visiting in person. Okay, outside of that, I think that's all I have. So we're adjourned.